priests. Okay, now that we've scared away every Midwestern man within a 23-mile radius due to their crippling PTSD from Sunday morning service as an altar boy, let's talk about the class. Usually being the second class players will unlock on their journey, the priest introduces them to the beauty of self-healing, something that the Dear Pope lacked. Welcome back to the RotMG roster, the series where we talk about all 18 classes in Realm of the Mad God, going over their weapons, abilities, and armor types. Last time we spoke about the wizard, and now it's time to talk about the other robe class, the priest. Using the wands for their weapon type, the priest is able to stand far back from the fights, using the impressive 9-tile range. Though to counteract the fact that their range is longer than even the staff classes, they subsequently deal the lowest damage per shot. Well, technically the second lowest, since the staff is 2 shots, so their damage is lower to compensate, but I digress. Much like the staves, the wands also have their own alternate weapon type, known as the Morningstar. These secondary wands are very strange as they fire out in a shotgun-like pattern. Each Morningstar fires out 5 shots at 3 different rates of fire. 2 shots are at 45%, 2 at 55%, and 1 at 60%. This means when you are holding down your mouse or auto-firing, the pattern constantly changes. The Morningstars, having a range of just barely over 6 tiles, are much harder to use than regular wands and only ever deal noticeably more damage at very low defense, meaning they don't really have much of a use at all. Now, something that I regret not mentioning in the wizard video was talking about the various untiered weapons that the classes can use. While I won't go and rectify that mistake for wizard, I'll go over them here. There are a ton of different untiered wands in the game, so much like the robes from the wizard, I'll be going over a few of the most commonly used ones from different stages of the game. Starting out the early game wands, we have the Conducting Wand. This wand drops from the second boss of the Mad Lab, the Horrific Creation. This wand trades off the enemy piercing of tiered wands, as well as 1 tile of range, and in return it gains a 25% boost to the rate of fire, as well as 4 dexterity and 4 wisdom on equip. The dexterity bonus allows the user to fire the shots even faster, and the wisdom synergizes well with the priest's ability, which becomes stronger the more wisdom the player has. This wand, despite dropping from an early game dungeon, can still out-damage the tier 14 wand until around 40 defense, which is quite impressive, as long as you're willing to give up the enemy piercing. I'd be a fool not to talk about the Crystal Wand. One of the oldest untiered items in the entire game, this wand has the ability to armor pierce enemies in exchange for the enemy piercing of the tiered wands. The ability to pierce the armor makes this wand much more effective at higher defenses. The Crystal Wand wasn't always like this, however. Way back in the day, over a decade ago now. Sorry about that. Where was I? Right, the wand. See, back before October of 2014, the Crystal Wand was actually the only wand in the entire game that could pierce enemies. Tiered wands didn't have that ability yet, and it was exclusive to the Crystal Wand. Coming up to the mid-game items, we have the Wand of the Fallen. Arguably the most used wand for how easy it is to obtain, dropping from Daichi the Fallen in the Mountain Temple. This wand once again trades range as well as a bit of fire rate for much more damage. Having a range of 6.6 tiles, you'll need to get up much closer to get your damage in, but you'll certainly be getting much more of it than with the other wands. The Wand of the Fallen can also be enchanted with the Buzzing Bullets engraving. At the time of writing the script, they are still considered engravings, but with the introduction of the new enchantment system, they are most likely going to be converted to artifacts and becoming something new, though with the same effect. I'm just going to take a moment here to say that I was actually completely wrong about this assumption. Only 4 of the 6 originally engraved items actually have their own unique awakenings now. The wand and the Bogwood Crook from the Sulphurous Wetlands do not have their own awakened enchantments yet. We'll see if they get one eventually. Had to leave this quick addendum in. Back to the video. Seeing as how there aren't many other mid-game wands, if any, we're going to jump right into the Exalt level dungeons, breaking into the endgame wands. To start us off, we have Deliverance, which is a forge-only wand. Combining the Soul's Guidance from the Haunted Cemetery and the Vial of Soul Extract from the Spectral Penitentiary, you get this upgraded form. On the surface, this wand doesn't have much to it, only dealing an average of 140 damage per shot with an awkward firing pattern. Though the fun comes in the weapon's on-shoot proc. With each shot fired, you have a 15% chance to spawn a Forgotten Soul. These souls will deal 666 damage to the closest enemy for 4 seconds before beginning to drift away. As they drift away, they release small explosions with a radius of 1.5 tiles. These explosions will curse enemies for 2 seconds when hit by them. The wand also gives 6 wisdom on equip to further help with the wisdom scaling of the priest's ability. Perhaps the best general use wand, we have the Laser Pointer, dropping from the Cogbold Steamworks. This wand, like so many others, trades range for more damage. Enough damage that at any considerable defense, it will outperform almost every other wand. The only 3 that beat it out are the Dusky Catalyst from Shatters, which silences you when in combat. I have to add yet another addendum. Dusky Catalyst no longer silences you while in combat, and rather subtracts wisdom. Its firing pattern also got completely changed. It is no longer an endgame copy of the third G wand, rather its own thing now. Lumiere, which we'll talk about next and is much harder to aim, and an engraved Wand of the Fallen, which is much more annoying to obtain. The laser pointer has 2 different bullets. One very fast shot, firing out at 150% rate of fire and dealing an average of 112 damage per shot while armor piercing, and a second 50% rate of fire shot that deals an average of 62 damage and pierces enemies. The main shot fires straight forward, while the secondary rotates around like a coil, making this wand much easier to use than the next wand up. Lumiere, dropping from Archbishop Lucorix in the Auric Sanctuary, the same boss that drops the Vesture of Duality, is among some of the highest damage a wand can do. Firing out 2 shots, each dealing an average of 90 damage at 150% rate of fire, the caveat to this wand is an awkward shot pattern and incredibly slow-moving shots. This wand certainly shines most with enemies who stand still most of the time, but if they tend to have erratic movements, you'd be much better off using a laser pointer or even just a base Wand of the Fallen. Moving on to the robes, we won't go over nearly as many as we did with the wizard, as the priest will tend to use similar robes, but we'll still give a brief rundown of them and a few of the unique ones to the priest. The robe of the man scientist finds far more use on a priest than it would on wizard due to the mana reduction ability, allowing the priest to use their healing tomes much more often. Water Dragon Silk Robe isn't used as often due to the fact that the priest wouldn't need to rely on the healing ability of the robe and just stick with their tomes. Vesture Duality and Diplomatic Robe are both great options for damage-focused priests, the Vesture giving the fantastic boost of the attack stat, while the priest being able to heal off the extra damage they'll be tanking from the lowered defense. While the Diplomatic Robe will still benefit the priest with a 10 attack on equip, as well as providing some nice HP as well. Flowering Kimono, again paired with the Kageno Hikari, is a nearly unbeatable combo, with the priest able to use the kimono even as a solo robe due to the incredible boost of 120 mana and 12 wisdom. The main robe that you would find on a priest that isn't typically found on many other robe classes is the Ritual Robe dropping from the Cultist Hideout. This robe is the wisdom scaling robe, providing a standard 12 defense, a nice bonus of 5 attack, cool 50 mana, and a whopping 20 wisdom. The immense amount of wisdom will provide a major boost to the amount your tome will be able to heal at once. This is why it doesn't get much use on the wizard, as their spells don't benefit from the wisdom like the priest can. Perhaps one of the best robes for the priest in an unconventional manner is the Twilight Shroud, dropping from the Shatters, specifically the minions when clearing for the second boss. At first glance, it doesn't seem that defensive. 60 HP, which is the same that Soul's Robe gives, 10 defense, which is even less, 50 mana, which helps for using your ability, and 5 speed to help you move better. Where the bonus comes in is the reactive proc of this robe. Upon shooting with less than 50% of your maximum mana remaining, you will restore 100 of that immediately. With a small cooldown of only 5 seconds, this robe can help priests keep using their abilities in situations where their mana regeneration is hindered, such as being in combat or taking the Petless Challenge in the Moonlight Village. Overall, the priest can also just benefit quite fine from tiered robes, as they provide a good mixture of defense, attack, wisdom, and mana to benefit the priest in many different facets. Moving into the ability of the priest, the Tome. The Tome provides an instant burst of healing to yourself and all allies within its range, though decreasing in effectiveness the more people it heals at once. Just like the wizard, we'll be going over the tiered tomes and some of the most commonly used untiered ones. Starting out with the tiered tomes, these work much like almost every other one out there. Upon use, you provide an instant heal to you and your allies, as well as the healing buff for bonus HP regeneration for a short period. The tiered tomes are simple. The higher the tier, the more it heals upon use. Nearly every tome has the same wisdom modifier. For every 10 wisdom points above 50, the tome will heal an additional 30 health. Leading the pack of the untiered tomes, we have perhaps the most infamous one, the Tome of Purification, or just Puri for short. Dropping from the Manor of the Immortals, this tome is not too hard to obtain, seeing as how Manor is one of the more early game dungeons. This tome boosts a respectable heal of 140, although the bonus 10 wisdom immediately guarantees you hit the next heal upgrade. Coupled with the fact that most robes will also be increasing your wisdom, as well as various rings, it's not very hard to get Puri to heal for nearly double its original base heal. On top of all this, Puri will also heal any negative status effect instantly except for Silence, Quiet, and Pet Stasis. Silence and Quiet makes sense as you can't even use your ability anyway, whereas Pet Stasis is an interesting one. While not confirmed, my personal running theory is that it's because pet stasis is technically a debuff to your pet, not your character. This tome used to give the purification to the entire group, but was changed back in 2020. Although this tome is still a fantastic choice to use for nearly any situation. What is perhaps, I believe, the first untiered tome to be introduced to the game, we have the Tome of Holy Protection, or just PROT for short. Dropping from the Tomb of the Ancients, this tome was released in the same update that added life potions to the game, so this tome has some age to it. As the name implies, PROT is much more defensive than any other. With the instant heal being a bit less than Fury at 120 plus the Wisdom modifier, this tome makes up for it by providing the user with the Armored buff. This buff increases the user's defense by 1.5 times, meaning if you had 40 defense, then use this tome, you'd have the equivalent of 60 defense. For a priest that's fighting at long range, that's some pretty respectable defense. The Tome of the Mushroom Tribes, or Fungal Tome for short, has some of the best healing of any tome for the simple fact that it doesn't decrease its heal no matter how many players it hits. Dropping from the Fungal Cavern, this tome is a bit more annoying to get and use than the other tomes. Upon use, it spawns a stationary mushroom that pulses for a 75 health heal every second for 3 seconds, totaling 225 health. Another interesting thing about this tome is that the pulse heals will always target the players with the least amount of HP. A fun fact about this tome actually, Umi will consume the mushrooms during her fight, making this tome completely useless during her. The final tome we'll talk about is also probably the rarest. The Evolutionary Records, alternatively known as Evo Tome or Biome Tome, as it is the biome wipe for the veteran biome of the Carboniferous. This is perhaps the most unique tome as it has 3 different modes. Upon use, depending on the mode you're in, you'll transform into a different creature and gain different bonus stats and even bonus projectiles depending on the form. The 3 you're able to choose from are a crab, which is the default, a T-Rex, and a mantis. The crab form gives a boost to your vitality and wisdom while decreasing your speed and dexterity, allowing the tome to heal for more, with the bonus shots firing out in a sine wave pattern, much like the tiered staves. The T-Rex form gives a boost to your defense and attack while lowering your wisdom and max health. The shots from the T-Rex form fire out in a V pattern. The final form is the mantis, getting a boost to dexterity and speed in exchange for vitality and defense. The shots for the mantis form fire out similarly to Itachi, where they fire out at the side of the priest, then cross over a few tiles in front. The Evolutionary Records is one of my favorite items to play with, but it is incredibly rare. Should you come across one, be very careful with it. Biome whites are among the rarest items in the entire game. Overall, Priest is a fantastic class to stay alive and learn different types of content. Being able to reliably heal yourself with a single key press instead of hoping the other classes happen to notice you've been on red health for the past 15 seconds and are moments away from an irreversible nap can keep you in the fight longer to get more used to the phases and their patterns. All of this, of course, comes with the downside of being incredibly squishy. Due to the fact that there isn't much variety and exciting gameplay with the tomes, I'd have to also put Priest in the B tier, but just below Wizard. I personally loved my Priest PPE that fully exalted with that character alone, and I adore playing with the Evolutionary Records, but other than that, the class just isn't all that fun to play. Once again, if you enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss other uploads. You should also join my Discord to be alerted of whenever I go live or when a new video is posted. My name is Charzigan, and I hope you all have a fantastic day, night, afternoon, whatever time it is for you. Peace!